What's going on, y'all? This is the first video of 2025. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Now, I'm here for a specific reason. If any of you all know me or follow me on social media or even on YouTube, know that I haven't been shy about calling out certain things, whether it's with the government or certain injustices that I think is going on in the system, in this country. And if I think it, if I believe it, if I feel strongly about it, more than likely I've said it either on social media or in a video. And lately, I did a couple videos about the whole DayStar stuff. Now, people have been going in on that like almost daily. You know what I'm saying? I've been feeding in information and stuff like that, but I never want to be one to chime in on something that hard unless I'm just, you know what I'm saying, the Lord just kind of tells me, or, I feel led to go in like that. So I got about 2 videos about the whole Daystar thing, about the allegations and all that stuff. And so, but what I want to talk about or bring about is when people bring up this whole thing kind of about spiritual abuse. Like when people talk about the stuff in the government, like I was saying, when it has to do with the shot, about 4 years ago, or the other stuff going on in the medical industry and, dealing with masks and all that stuff, dealing with stuff that we knew that was going on in the government, but it couldn't be, let's say, legally evident, right? Everything was alleged and we can just go off what we saw, the stuff that was clear, you know what I'm saying? And so you had people all the time, that got banned on social media, on YouTube, that were talking about things that they saw, things that they see in plain sight that are inconsistent, and called it out, right? And was doing it the right thing. You know what I'm saying? As we see now, fast forward 3 or 4 years later, we can see the whole thing about the bang bang and the agenda and the things that were going on with Zuckerberg and all that stuff that he admitted to, that wish he didn't, get involved in that. And so now when we come across this whole thing as far as in the church, like in the in the realm of politics, a lot of people, when they say conservative, a lot of people think conservative, they think of Christian. You know what I'm saying? And so it is some type of that is mostly true in a lot of circumstances, but it's not always that. But when most people think of conservative, they think of Christian. So now when we come to this whole Daystar thing, I think a lot of stuff has got twisted, because the funny thing about the spiritual realm is that if you know your word enough, you know what I'm saying, you can manipulate situations, you can manipulate people's mindset, because quite frankly, a lot of people aren't spiritually mature. Yep. So they can use certain words or use certain traditions that people grew up in and use it against them just to save face. And so I think a lot of that has happened with the Daystar situation. So, but my thing is, what I like to say is, keep that same energy when you come for government or the political parties, and on the side that I was on, as far as with the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? A lot of conservatives and Republicans were blatantly trying to expose the other side, the Democratic Party, the liberal side, you know what I'm saying? Because there were a lot of inconsistencies that people saw, but, a lot of other things that no legal evidence, everything is always alleged. Everything is always, when it came to the 2020 election, like, no, Trump won that election. No, he lost. Oh, what's your proof? Legally they said that he, nothing like that happened, da 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 da. But then when you look at the stuff for face value, actually what was going on, then you lead up to what was popping off when all the stuff came about the FBI stuff with the January 6th stuff, all the other documented stuff that has come out recently. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shows like, okay, this stuff may have been real, but all the while that it wasn't verified, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You have people talking about it. You have people giving their opinions, people actually putting out certain evidence that was already out there and showing the people, but nothing legally you could you can say. So everything is alleged. So the same thing here that's kind of going on with the DayStar stuff. Everything is mostly alleged. There is hours and hours of tape that you can listen to lead you to the conclusion of what's really going on. And so now I just kind of hate it to where now people are using their spiritual card now to say that, hey, we shouldn't talk about this because, we'll put a black eye on the church, or the Lord didn't tell me, to say this or say that about anything like that. When on the other side, we've come out and exposed the government, exposed the vaccine, the bang bang and stuff like that, and gave our opinion daily or weekly, unfiltered. But then when it comes to something, and I'm speaking to the people that are still benefiting from DayStar or plan to maybe benefit from them in the future, they're not going to necessarily say something until there is an actual real lawsuit. There's actual real legal evidence that they put out there. And for me, I just don't like when people don't keep the same energy when it comes to the other stuff, right? Like I have said, we can be so zealous to talk about exposing the government and political situation, but become cowards when it comes to circumstances that are in our own backyard. Yep. And so, especially in, the church or the body of Christ, you know what I'm saying? I think it's real easy to, talk about things that are necessarily not in that wheelhouse, particularly talking about this program that's on Victory Network with Kenneth Copeland and them called Flashpoint. And I think this guy called Lance Wallum or something like that. I'm not sure, but I used to be heavy into that show, and they used to talk on a daily basis, even a few times a week. And that was the program that a few people on there predicted Trump would be in office in 2020, and that he'll get overturned and he'll be in office before the end of 2020 and all that stuff, right? And so we're talking about constant stuff weekly, talking about election interference and all this stuff, right? One of the people that was constantly on that show, giving his opinion, giving his thoughts on certain situations, is now want to put a spiritual card up and saying, the Lord ain't released me to say certain things about this big scandal or this scandal or whatever over there. And you know what I'm saying? I kind of throw the yellow flag out on that. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people are conveniently doing that. And to their credit, it can be tough. You know what I'm saying? Even for me, I didn't know I was going to make a video. Didn't think I was going to make a video today for some unfortunate news that I got today. When people get a certain resource or is comfortable, getting a certain type of money, a kind of money, from a big resource, it's kind of tough to buck back on that. So instead of just saying that, it kind of conflicts with my interests, you know what I'm saying? Some people want to put a spiritual card up, all saying the Lord ain't told me to do that. I'm trying to be wise and all this stuff like that. When in reality, you really trying to protect your pockets. Yep. You know what I'm saying? People, talk daily about their views and opinions in regards to those when certain things are exposed. But when they're coming to our own arena, you know what I'm saying? Like, given to the point I was saying, I'm not sure if Kenneth Copeland Ministries are affiliated with DayStar now after Marcus Lamb's passing like that. But a lot of ministers that have been on this network have been. And so I'm not the one that's saying that every minister, big minister, small minister, need to come out against DayStar. But I just want to, don't, you know what I'm saying, put up your spiritual card now when you've been so out loud speaking against a lot of political and government stuff. You know what I'm saying? That has not been founded. A lot of stuff that has not been evidence at the time a lot of people were talking about it. Now a lot of stuff is coming out and stuff like that. But this was years ago when people were talking about the bang bang and the political parties, seeing how they're being hypocritical and doing this and doing that. And, constant content was coming out about, them, how unfair they are. They're doing this, and, what I'm saying, they're doing this for the money, and we got to see it, and God is going to expose the darkness, what I'm saying, inside, da 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 da. But then when it comes to stuff that's in our own backyard, that's in Christendom, now we want to be like, oh, let's sit back for a minute and kind of see, right? Because now it may affect some of your bottom line, some of your exposure, what I'm saying, when it comes to ministry, the whole thing with the gateway with Robert Morris, like a lot of stuff came out with that. They did a third party investigation, and a lot of stuff has been uncovered because of that. But now DayStar, at least right now, refused to do a third party investigation from somebody that does not know them or is affiliated with them or maybe even know them at all. I think that is kind of a form of spiritual abuse when, we get real, protective when stuff happens in our own backyard, but then be so adamant about things that are happening out in the world or, with the government or political or stuff like that. Like a preacher would be in the pulpit and talk about Diddy or give a illustration about what's going on kind of in those circles. But when it comes to stuff in our own backyard, it's like, hey, I ain't going to say nothing until, this becomes fully, legal and known and stuff like that. I just think it's very, hypocritical and, disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people conveniently have behind what they call spiritual conviction when it has to do with exposing a resource they have benefited from or possibly want to benefit from it again in the near future. Like, and on the other side, even for myself, if I'm talking about the other side, I was talking about VP Kamala Harris, you know what I'm saying, exposing some of the things that was coming out of her mouth and, the real agenda that's really happening. But then when it comes to the stuff that's happening within the church or people want to say Christianity, I'm not going to say anything because, it's going to put a black eye on people not coming to Jesus. You know what I mean? Like at the end, we're not to draw people to him. The Holy Spirit draws people to God. You know what I'm saying? We're just supposed to be real, tell the truth, and, righteously judge. You know what I mean? So this whole thing that's going on with DayStar is crazy. And I ain't gonna lie, it can get real juicy, right? And so I have to, hold back on myself a little bit to, not get too saturated with it. But it's to the point to where it's big enough information and stuff is out there. And so people that refuse to even say something about it, I am kind of looking at them, kind of with a side eye, because a lot of other things in the past over the years have been talked about with no legal backing, with just your view or opinion of the evidence that you have seen or that the discernment that you did have in that particular realm or situation, whether that's government, financial, medical, kind of all that stuff. And so I just want us to keep it real across the board and not just do it with stuff that necessarily that benefits us. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, the church gonna have to be judged. Yep. You know what I'm saying? The church gonna have to, he's coming back for a church without a spot or a blemish. And so if that's the case, the exposing within the church and around it is going to happen. And that's some of the stuff that's happening and popping off now. So let me know what y'all think, man. Do you think that the stuff going on with DayStar needs to be talked about more by more of the prominent ministers that are more so a part of DayStar? Or, you know what I'm saying, are they doing the wise thing to not say anything at all? You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know. Until next time. Salute.